What is up, everyone? Let me know if my connection is all right. It is saying that it is not, but hopefully that it is good. Welcome everyone to another show of the Kamper Report. This one's going to be shorter. Um, I I didn't have so I was going to do the show earlier on today. Could not do that. It was gonna be at about 4 PM Pacific time, and I didn't end up getting to do that, so it's a little bit later on at night in your guys's time zone, in the US. So, some of you guys will be watching this afterwards, which is fine, and I don't know, I mean, this is very close to when the games are going to start, so I don't have a lot of time to you guys don't have a lot of time to watch this video before it gets too old because the NFL games are starting tomorrow. So, not a ton of time to watch this video before it becomes old news because those games will be played tomorrow. But we have to talk about now again, I didn't actually have time to it's been a little bit interesting of the past 20 like a little bit interesting of the past 24 hours, so I didn't have time to prepare all of the topics for all of the topics, but I do have two that I really want to talk about. The first one's 49ers versus Seahawks. The second one is Mike Tomlin, kind of the Steelers loss and how that will affect Mike Tomlin and different things like that. And then I might cover the Sean McDermott kind of debacle of this last week as well. Um, but let's get to the 49ers versus Seahawks breakdown because this is a big game. This is a really big game. Again, I wish I would have been able to break down the Eagles Cowboys game I originally was going to, and that's a huge game as well. I can maybe break down what I have off of the top of my head. The thing that I like to do before games is really look into the stats, look into the film, and so it usually takes me a little while to kind of collect all the information I need before I go live. So because I didn't have all of that time, I'm going to go with what I've got today. So 49ers versus Seahawks, let's break down the game. Let's go through a few keys. Drop in the comments who you think is going to win. Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. I see Grandizer's already in the chat. Welcome, Grandizer. But basically, the first thing I want to get into is the Seahawks passing game. That's a huge key one thing that I think will really decide the game is how well Brock Purdy can throw against the Seahawks. And against Dak Prescott last week, the Seahawks had allowed 3 touchdowns on defense. They allowed Dak to throw for 3 touchdowns and 300 yards and had a over 100 QB rating. That's what Dak did against the Seahawks a week and a half ago. So Seahawks passing game didn't do well. Obviously, the Seahawks, I think their record is, I believe it's 6-6. I believe this one's in the 49ers stadium. It's in Levi's, and it really when the 49ers beat the Seahawks last time on Thanksgiving, the Seahawks have had a week and a half to prepare for this game because they played the Cowboys not this last Thursday, but the Thursday before, so a week and a half ago. And so they have extra time to prepare, but their passing game against Dak Prescott did not do very well. So look for Brock Purdy to have a huge day today. And I mean, last time they played the Seahawks in week 12, Brock Purdy had a really good day. Everyone wants to point to his pick six that he had against the Seahawks, but that was the only bad throw that he made the whole game. Other than that, I mean, this guy was 21 for 30. So that's a great, completion percentage right there. And he also had 209 yards passing. So look for Brock Purdy to have a big day. Another big thing, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, the Seahawks have never had that good run game. Look for the Niners to give Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason a lot of carries, a lot of work. I think we're going to see more play action in this game. Last week against the Eagles, the 49ers kind of went away from the play action because the Eagles are really good at defending play action football. But look for the 49ers to play more play action in this game because the Seahawks don't have a great pass rush. And so since the 49ers can run the ball so well, the Seahawks aren't great at stopping the run. The Seahawks are going to overcommit to stop the run. And so what the Niners are going to do is they're going to know that the Seahawks are going to overcommit to stop the run. So they're going to fake it to McCaffrey, pull it back, and throw the ball off the play action. So look for the 49ers to get a lot of their yards through play action. Let's get to the comments. Grandizer says, Ben breaks down if Mike Tomlin should be fired. 49ers versus 49ers. Seahawks versus 49ers preview. The Sean McDermott debacle. Chiefs versus Bills game preview. Eagles versus Bills preview, and much more. The new Godzilla movie. What? The new Godzilla movie. I have not seen that. I probably won't get to those final games. I might get to a little bit of Eagles versus Cowboys, but like I said, I have not prepared a lot for those games. I was running short on time, so I apologize. I might get to breaking down a little bit of the Eagles versus Cowboys game. But other than that, I'm just going to get to the Mike news and the 49ers versus Seahawks, getting to the 49ers versus Seahawks breakdown. So those two topics, and then a little bit of the Eagles versus Cowboys game as well. I'm the type of person that kind of needs time to prepare for things, needs to look at the film, and I just didn't get it this week. Well, I made the stream yesterday. I thought about making the stream yesterday. I made the stream yesterday, was thinking about getting prepared today, but other things came up, so I didn't really get prepared for all those other topics, but that is okay. Hope all is well, Benny. Yes, it's fun. All is well. It's been fun in Australia. Calvin's Hobbs says Gino might not even play. Yeah, we'll get to that in actually a second. That's going to be my next topic. The throw to Ayuk was elite. I'm assuming he's talking about last time against the Seahawks, how Brock Purdy had that 25-yard dime down the middle to Ayuk. Yep, it was. Seahawks are wounded, downward slide. 49ers can give the good old coup de grace. Pronounced coup de grace. And the end the Seahawks season for good. Yeah, well, if the 49ers win this week, they will clinch the NFC West. So that's going to be big as well. Kenneth Walker. So let's get to first thing. Geno Smith's not going to be playing. So look for the Niners to, let's actually get to this first. Drew Lock, Geno Smith was limited in practice. He's questionable for the game. That's going to be huge because if Geno Smith does not go, then Drew Lock will be starting. And I don't know if you guys remember Drew Lock in Denver, but he was terrible. He was a third or fourth round pick that Denver drafted out of Mizzou. And he was promising coming out of college. He was a promising prospect, had nice talent, but never panned out and was just absolutely terrible for the Broncos. Whether he had a lot of talent or not, he just isn't a very good quarterback. And it leads me to my main point. Look for Drew Lock to throw one or two interceptions. If the Niners can get one or two takeaways in this game, it doesn't matter what the Seahawks will do. The Seahawks are going to lose this game. And so from that reason alone, I just find it very hard to even pick against the Niners because it's like, that Drew Lock over his history with Drew Lock's history, he's going to throw an interception or two. So look for, and that's why it makes it so hard for the 49ers for me to pick against the 49ers, because we know that they're just going to, all the 49ers have to do on offense is play simple, not even creative, just don't turn the ball over, and you win this game because the defense is going to do the rest because they're going to pick apart Drew Lock. So look for that. Another key, Kenneth Walker. He was a full participant in practice, I believe, yesterday on Friday, and he is probably going to play. On the flip side, Eric Armstead is obviously, as we know, out of this game. Kinlaw is replacing him as the starter. Eric Armstead was the Niners' best run defender. He's been a staple of our team all year. I do want to quickly give him props before well, let me get to that topic later because I do want to give Eric Armstead props for getting Walter Payton Man of the Year award nomination. Walter Payton Man. Let me actually put that in. Walter Payton Man. Let me I'll get to actually more on Eric Armstead in just a second because he did get the Walter Payton Man of Year nomination by the 49ers, and that was kind of cool. I wanted to touch on that. But let's get back to I was just putting a banner in for that topic because that's actually a topic that I want to cover today as well. But Eric Armstead is out, and he was one of our best run defenders. So now Kinlaw, like I said, is starting for the 49ers. And Kinlaw's all right, but he's not great. Like his pass rush grades this year have been actually really good, but his run defense grades have actually not been great. In week 6, 43.7 run grade. In week 7, 46.3 run grade. In week 8, he had a 47.1 run grade. In week 10, he had a 43.6 run defense grade. And so him against the run defense, PFF hasn't graded him well. I can't give you the exact stat, but the point is he hasn't done great. The last 3 weeks against the and um, Seahawks, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he's had a good run defense grade, but the Eagles hardly ran the ball last game. The Seahawks hardly ran the ball the game before that, so he really didn't even play that much run defense snaps. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hardly, like, they're not a good running team either. So his worst weeks were from 6 to 10. His worst graded weeks were from weeks 6 all the way till weeks 10. The last 3 weeks he's been pretty well graded, but he also hasn't been playing teams that commit to running the ball. So I think the Seahawks are going to, I don't know if that makes sense, but I think the Seahawks are going to have a lot easier of a time of running the ball against this team, and look for them. I just said before that Drew Lock, he's going to throw some interceptions. Look for the Seahawks to run the ball as much as possible with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, who also was a full participant in practice. So look for the Seahawks to run the ball with those two guys and get the ball out, and for them to get the ball out of Drew Lock's hand as much as possible so he won't turn the ball over. That's the only way the Seahawks can win. Even still, I don't think the Seahawks will be able to run the ball well enough because our team is so good all around for them to win the game. Even if Eric Armstead isn't in this game. I mean, it's going to have to take a lot more than the Seahawks just running the ball for them to beat us. That's just my opinion. I mean, they could run the ball as well as anyone in the league in this week, and I don't think they'll still win because they're just so outmatched in every area. Let's see here. I'm trying to think. Let's answer some comments. Not saying that Seattle will win. However, didn't Drew Lock have poor coaching when he was with Denver? Lock did show flashes. Then he had injury issues too. Well, when he was competing with Geno Smith for the starting job when they were both with the Seahawks in year 1, which was last year, he was not good in training camp. He was terrible. Reports out of reports out of training camp of Seahawks training camp was he was terrible. He wasn't good in preseason for the Seahawks either. And I don't care if he was bad because of poor coaching in Denver. You know, you can be bad with poor coaching, and if you have a poor coach, it ruins your development of a player. So Drew Lock has just not been developed right, and I just don't think that you can throw him in first game and he's going to look like a star when he hasn't in the past. And I don't care if it's poor coaching because he hasn't been developed right because of the poor coaching. And I don't think now that he has a decent coach, he's just going to all of a sudden act like the greatest player to live. I think you can't there comes a certain point when you can't develop a player any longer. And so I think Drew Lock, since his earlier years were spent with a terrible coach, those were his developing years. And I don't know if the Seahawks, they got him in a point of his career where I don't know if they can develop him any more than they already have. I worry about the special team going forward, injuries, penalties, and a muffed punt. I wish Moody would kick it in the end zone on kickoff. Seattle has the number one special team. Interesting. I didn't know they had the number one special teams. Another top. Should Sneaky Pete Carroll get fired? I would find it very hard to believe that he does. His team has faced a lot of injuries this year, and he hasn't drafted a quarterback. I highly doubt it. Like the reason why I'll get to Mike Tomlin in a second. So let me table this comment for now. I'll tell you why I think Mike Tomlin should get fired and why I don't think Pete Carroll will. Let's see. I'm trying to read this comment. Carroll has too much success winning the Super Bowl, so I think he continues until he wants to retire. I think the owners will sell the team in a few years, so they wouldn't want to make any coaching changes. Many coaching changes. Interesting. I didn't know that they wanted to sell the team. But anyways, let's get to. Do I have any more keys? I do not. Well, okay, one more key. Chase Young. I want to see Chase Young get home more in this game. The last two games, he hasn't played great. Last time he played the Seahawks, he had one pressure and one hurry, I think it was. So he did not have a productive game. Nonetheless, I think the Seahawks, Chase Young needs to, the last two games he hasn't played well, but Chase Young needs to pick it up in this game. He's playing in a contract year. He's looking for a big contract. I think that the defensive line in general in the pass rush will really eat like they did last time that they played the Seahawks. And so I think that Chase Young, it's going to be important that he gets home this week to improve his stats and improve his argument for getting a lot of money as a pass rush in next offseason. I am out of water and my mouth is super dry. This is going to be an interesting show moving forward. Let's move on. Mike Tomlin. So Grandizer just kind of laid it out. Mike Tomlin will be. Hold on a second. Let me just get a drink out of this water bottle because my mouth is dry. Much better. Mike Tomlin. We have to talk about him as well because Grandizer came up with a great topic here about should the Eagles fire Pete Carroll. And my response to that is the difference between Pete Carroll and Mike Tomlin is Pete Carroll didn't draft a quarterback and get it wrong with a quarterback. I think it's fair to say at this point with Kenny Pickett, he's not elite. He's had a few seasons to prove that. And I think at this point with Kenny Pickett, you're starting to wonder, is he the guy? Who drafted Kenny Pickett? Who signed off on Kenny Pickett? I've heard that Mike Tomlin had a big part of drafting Kenny Pickett. So how does that look on top of all the losing that Mike Tomlin has done within the last few years? How does that look on your resume that you were responsible for drafting a guy who isn't looking like your franchise quarterback? On the other hand, Pete Carroll, he got Geno Smith in a rebuild year. He isn't tied to Geno Smith in any way because, I mean, I guess they gave him a big contract last offseason, but he's not tied to Geno Smith in any way because he Geno Smith is just a placeholder quarterback. He's not going to be here long term. And so Pete Carroll never got it wrong with a quarterback because he never drafted a quarterback, and so Pete Carroll has this one excuse left. Pete Carroll can tell the owners of the Seahawks and say, I need to draft a quarterback and start with a rookie quarterback and I can develop him. He hasn't he revived Geno Smith's career and that's really good on his resume, but he's not really his job isn't tied to Geno Smith. And so I think he can still, because he got it right with Geno Smith and Mike Tomlin got it so wrong with Kenny Pickett, that's what separates them. So that kind of was my, comparison to with Pete Carroll and Mike Tomlin. Is Pete Carroll, I think, definitely has that over Mike Tomlin. Now, back to the Mike Tomlin news. Should he get fired? My thing is, yes, he should. It seems to me that in the last few years, there have been a lot of either coaches hired or just coaches in the league sticking around, head coaches in the league like Bill Belichick, Mike Tomlin, that their concepts have been getting a little bit old. And I think especially for the Steelers, you need somebody. Mike Tomlin's not so much of an offensive genius. You need an offensive genius. You need somebody who's going to revive that offense, who's going to make that team exciting again. And with Mike Tomlin, it's like at first every Steelers fan pointed to Matt Canada as the culprit. And so they fired Matt Canada, but the offense hasn't improved since then. And so either Mike Tomlin really, really, really this next offseason, works on getting a genius offensive coordinator, or the Steelers just fire him. Because at first, the scapegoat was Matt Canada. But now that Matt Canada is gone and the offense is still not looking good, I think that you can start to point to Mike Tomlin as maybe being the problem a little bit more. And I'm not saying he's a bad coach. It's just I think some of his concepts are a little bit outdated. That also goes along with the fact of Kenny Pickett. He drafted him and Kenny Pickett hasn't panned out. So that doesn't look good on his resume at all. And I said that before. So I just think that the Steelers, it's like he's a good coach, but you need something new. You need a new shakeup in the system. You need a new energetic coach, that will give you that little push over the top. I mean, the Lions coach, Ben Johnson, would love to coach for the Steelers. There are plenty of offensive geniuses, I think, in the NFL that next year there are a lot of offensive coordinators that next year would love to coach the Pittsburgh Steelers with an amazing defense. Because if you're a head coach coming to a team, you really want a good defense. Like that's every head coach's dream. A good defense. And I mean, wouldn't it be cool if the Steelers got the modern day, like if the Steelers got what's the guy for the head coach for the Colts? Hold on. I'm trying to make a comparison here. Colts head coach. Shane Steichen. Wouldn't it be cool if the Steelers got their Shane Steichen like the Colts have? I mean, Shane Steichen, for example, is in year one. He's an offensive mastermind. He's leading the Colts to the playoffs in year one. Wouldn't it be cool if the Steelers got their next Shane Steichen? Is all I'm saying. And so I know that it's kind of a risky move to move off of Mike Tomlin, but I think that the Colts Shane Steichen, him doing so well in year one is prompting the Steelers to go out and look for an offensive coach. And that guy is Ben Johnson. It could be that as soon as they get an offensive coordinator as their head coach, that they all of a sudden look way better. So that's just my opinion. I think they need to move on from him for sure. And it would be really cool if they got their version of Shane Steichen, you know? That's what they're hoping for. And I think that they need to take that risk by firing Matt Canada. That was a really long-winded response, but I think it needed to be said. So he said, go get water. We can wait. Yeah, my mouth is super dry. Three keys for the 49ers to win. Another key that I quickly wanted to cover is I think the Niners need to load the box. Look for the Niners to load the box because they know that the Seahawks are going to be trying to run the ball a lot because they don't want, especially if Drew Lock is playing, the Seahawks do not want the 49ers do not want the Seahawks to be able to run the ball because that's what the Seahawks are primarily going to do. And so they're going to load the box and dare Drew Lock to throw it downfield. And I think that's going to force the Seahawks to throw it downfield, and it's going to force the Seahawks to rely on Drew Lock's arm, which is not a good idea. So I think that's a key, loading the box, putting a lot of guys down at the line of scrimmage for the 49ers, and making the Seahawks throw the ball. That was something that I did not say before, but I said it now. Another key, sticking to the run game and playing off of the run, playing play action on offense for the 49ers. That's a key. And then a third key, I really want to see how the 49ers get Brandon Ayuk a little bit more involved in this game because he wasn't that involved against the Steelers the Seahawks last time. I kind of already laid out my keys though earlier on in the show. So if you guys want a full breakdown, go and skip back earlier. Steelers don't usually fire their head coaches, so they can blame it on injuries to pick it if they miss the playoffs. They're in a tougher division than Seattle. All teams are at 500 or above. Interesting. Yeah, they have had a lot of injuries. That's true. Thank you for that, Calvin's Hobbs. Well, let's get to the next topic then. I don't see any more topics here. Comments here. So Walter Payton, hold on, I spelled that completely wrong. Walter Payton Man of Year nomination went to Eric Armstead, and I just want to say he is the longest tenured Niner, and you guys probably all heard this news because it came out quite a while ago. Longest tenured Niner in the building left. He was drafted by Trent Baalke back in 2015. He's been with the team for 8 years. He was not a player drafted by the Kyle Shanahan regime. He's the last player drafted by Trent Baalke. So kind of a big deal. Eric Armstead's been on this team for a long time. He's a staple of the defense. And we also have to talk about how much of a team player this man is. I mean, this guy has gotten his contract restructured twice. He's taken twice less money just to play with a Super Bowl contender, just to help his team win. So Eric Armstead, the ultimate team player, I mean, has taken less money to help the team. He's been with the team the longest. I mean, at the time when the contract was signed, when he signed that super expensive contract back in 2020, I was very critical, but he's played up to that contract 100%. And congratulations to Eric Armstead. I just wanted to quickly say that because just a definitely key important player to this team, as well as a great guy off the field. So really cool dude. And I hope he wins it. I hope he wins the whole thing. But let's get to real quick. I do want to quickly touch on the Eagles versus Cowboys game. if you guys want to, I posted a video earlier on. I had a live earlier on this week that was basically breaking down the whole playoff picture and some of the and then recapping some of the matchups that had happened last week. So go check that out live out. And in that live, I broke down how the 49ers can get the number 1 seed and how the Eagles can lose the number 1 seed. Basically, the 49ers need to be rooting for the Cowboys this next week. And I said it, yes, rooting for the Cowboys. I would never usually root for the Cowboys on a week-to-week basis, but we need the Cowboys to win this game, because if the Cowboys win, the Eagles will be 10-3, and if the Niners win, they'll be 10-3. They'll have the tiebreaker over the Eagles. They'll have the tiebreaker over the Cowboys, and they'll have the divisional tiebreaker over the Lions. So they will be number 1 seed, the Niners. So you need to hope that the Eagles lose. So that's one thing, just kind of breaking that whole game down. We need to hope that the Eagles lose. Another thing, I don't know. I mean, the Cowboys have had an extra long week to prepare for this game. I think the Cowboys get this game done. I really do. I think that they've had an extra long week. It's in Dallas. It was close last time. The Eagles ended up pulling away with it. But I think because it's in Dallas, they've had the extra week to prepare. I just if this is the week, this is the best week for the Cowboys to catch the Eagles empty-handed. The Eagles are coming off of an emotional loss, but I also think that the 49ers made Jalen Hurts look human last week, and I think the Cowboys are going to do a similar game plan to what the 49ers did. Now, can they execute that game plan to where the 49ers did? I don't think so. But I think defensively, I think the Cowboys are going to do very well against the Eagles offense. And this is the reason why. Last week, Nick Bosa said that Jalen Hurts really likes to go through the A and B gaps when he's getting pressured. He really likes to rush up the middle, and that if you force him to the outside, he doesn't really have that much speed to run to the outside. So he really likes to run through the middle of the field. And so basically, you just have to contain him and let him scramble outside of the pocket. And he's not going to run very far because he's just not very fast. He's more of a power quarterback that likes to run up the middle. And so I looked back at the film and I said, yeah, Nick Bosa is right. Basically, if you plug the middle gaps of the defense of the offensive line, that Jalen Hurts, and let Jalen Hurts scramble out of the pocket, he's not as good of a running quarterback because he doesn't have the speed to get to the edge and get yards. And so that's kind of the film that I looked at, and I was looking at that. And so if the Cowboys can execute that similar type of game plan, not allowing Jalen Hurts to rush up the middle and get him scrambling to the outside, then I think the Cowboys could do very good in this game. I also think that the Cowboys, the 49ers kind of exposed the Eagles offense a little bit. Sorry, the 49ers kind of exposed the Eagles defense a little bit, and their cornerbacks aren't very good. I just think that if the Cowboys can kind of play the motion offense that the 49ers did, the big reason why the 49ers beat the Eagles is because they had played a lot of motion, pre-snap motion, post-snap motion. And so if the Cowboys can kind of execute that similar type of game plan, then they're going to beat the Eagles. Because the Eagles linebackers are not very good, and the Cowboys are going to expose that. And so I think the Cowboys get this win done, this game done. I think it's close, but I think that the Cowboys are going to be able to execute what the 49ers did slightly on offense, and that if they can execute pre-snap and post-snap motion, they're going to confuse the linebackers, they're going to confuse the Eagles defensive line and everything else. They're going to confuse the Eagles defense, and they're going to be able to really play well on offense, the Cowboys. So I think the Cowboys get this game done. 27-23. And then I think the 49ers beat the Seahawks by far 30. Well, last time it was 30-13. I think the 49ers beat the Seahawks this time 34-20. Pretty high scoring game, but I think that's going to be the outcome. So those are kind of the predictions. That's a brief breakdown of the the Eagles versus Cowboys game. I'm going to quickly answer the rest of your guys' comments and then get out of here. My mouth is so dry. Huge game for the Cowboys, but Dak will be Dak. It is hard to sweep both games, but I think the Eagles pull it out. Okay. Drop your guys' score predictions in the comments. What is Armstead doing to be nominated for that award? Feed the homeless, social justice, other? I'd like to know why he was nominated. He works with a lot of special needs kids. He also does a ton of stuff. I know he visits, hospitals and stuff like that, but he also just is a really good teammate. I think that's another reason why. He's a great mentor to a lot. Like, if you go back and watch the video that the 49ers made when they were nominating Eric Armstead, it basically, like, a bunch of players came out and said how much of a mentor he was to them when they first came in the league. So guys like, who was it that Jair Brown said that he was a big mentor. Nick Bosa said that he was a big mentor. So just a mentor to the guys, and just, yeah. And he does do a lot of community service as well. I think of the Cowboys as just an inferior version of Niners, so Dak will find a way to lose. I don't know. I think the Cowboys are almost going to try to carbon copy the 49ers game plan against the Eagles. SG Sports Talk channel. I have not seen you in a while, so it's good to have you. How are you doing tonight? I'm doing well. Armstead does a lot of work around his hometown area near Sacramento with education and undeserved communities. Yeah, I'd have to look into it more. I have not really looked into a ton of what he does, but I think he does a lot. I think the Dallas Cowboys will expose the Philadelphia Eagles and they'll win this game 54-20. Wow. 27. 54-27. I have not seen a game like that in a while. I love your content. Thank you. 49ers will beat Seattle 30-27. Okay. Well, is that with Drew Lock or with Geno Smith? Because I think if it's with Drew Lock, we beat him by a lot more. Underserved. Oh, my bad. My bad. I read that completely wrong. Well, guys, this has been a fun show. I'm going to go get some water because my mouth is extremely dry. We've gone for almost 40 minutes. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to the comments. You guys made this happen. I can't thank you guys enough. I do want to say I kind of forgot to mention this. I should have put it on my notes to mention. I should have mentioned this kind of subtopic that I have. But there are still people watching. I should have mentioned it at the beginning of the show. If you guys have any t-shirt ideas, or if you have any t-shirt ideas, or if you have any logo ideas, I would love to hear them, because soon I am going to be coming out with a t-shirt line. I'm going to be coming out with a website. When I get back from Australia, we'll be rolling all of that stuff out. So if you guys have any t-shirt designs, logo designs, just put them in the comments to this video and videos that I post in the following days. And if you do that, then I will collect all of your guys' suggestions, put them in a little folder, and I will, when I do eventually come out with the t-shirts, I will give the winner, I'll collect all of those comments, all of those suggestions, remember your guys' names, and then when I do end up coming out with the t-shirts, I'll give you the winner. I'll put them in a hat, mix them up, pull one out, and the winner of the pool will get a free t-shirt from me. So get your comments, your suggestions for what my t-shirt design and logo design should look like. And then you could have a chance to winning a free t-shirt that you potentially designed. And so, yeah, go and do that. Give me your suggestions because you could get a free t-shirt that you potentially designed. Grandizer says, give us that Godzilla review next time. That movie just dropped. I have not watched it. I will, though. Calvin's Hobbs just absolutely trashing the Cowboys right now. It's hilarious. I hate the Cowboys with an avid passion, but we need them to win. So, and I think they will. I think there's a high chance that they do. Well, I'll see you guys later. Remember, guys, give me your t-shirt and logo suggestions. It's been a great time hanging out with you all, and we'll see you guys again soon. Peace.